Hello, my name's Adam, and today we're going to talk about Jesus. No, but really, some people on Tumblr have asked me to do a video about being trans and being a person of faith, so this is it. Let's look at the questions, shall we? What sect of Christianity do you belong to? I currently call myself an Episcopalian. That's where I go to church, but I have not always been an Episcopalian. I didn't go to church until I was 8. We went to a non-denominational, your basic run-of-the-mill Southern church. Then I started going to a United Methodist church with my friend, and that's where I spent the majority of my adolescent years, middle school and most of high school. That's where I was confirmed. I started going to an Episcopal church probably towards the end of high school, and really loved it. I just found it to be very open and finding a balance between intellectual conversation and worship, and I found that to be very compelling for me. I really like the Episcopal Church. They tend to be open and affirming, and there have been several transgender clergy ordained in the Episcopal Church, which I think is pretty awesome. Apart from being Episcopalian, I am actually in seminary. I'm a divinity school student, as I've probably said in a lot of my other videos. So I have the unique perspective of being exposed to a lot of different denominations that are not my own. We've got Baptists, we've got United Church of Christ, we've got Lutherans, we've got Catholics, we've got the Free Presbyterians, the locked up Presbyterians. It's a little Eddie Izzard joke. Next question. Are they always accepting of trans folk? That really depends. I have encountered some people who have chosen not to associate with me on the basis of their faith and my identity. But for the most part, I've just found a lot of people who love me and accept me for who I am, regardless of whether or not they understand or approve of me. What are the challenges associated with being a trans person of faith, and how do you handle those challenges? I find it difficult to know that there are people who used to call me friend who are so wrapped up in their idea of what it means to be a follower of Jesus that they won't even listen to what I have to say for myself. That's what challenges me the most. I'm someone who wants to make people happy. I tend to be a people pleaser, and I tend to think of myself as a generally good person, and to have people react to my identity with such visceral negativity, it hurts, because I haven't changed. I've just told people something else about me, and it's changed the way that they perceive me, but it hasn't changed who I am. I have always been this way. And that brings me to the argument that a lot of people go to when they're trying to make a case against the trans community, and that is, God created you the way that you are, and God doesn't make mistakes. I agree with that. I agree. God doesn't make mistakes, and God made me exactly the way I am, a trans man. I didn't wake up one day and decide to be a boy. It is always who I have been, since the day I was born, since before I was self-aware. I have always been this way. It's me. And how can I truly be anything other than exactly who I am? I tried for years, and it didn't work. I also like to throw a little wrench into this argument by bringing up intersex persons, because that tends to not be on people's radar when they make this argument, and it tends to throw them a little by surprise, like, wait, what? All people aren't born heteronormative with male or female genitalia? What? It happens. It's not God's mistakes, it just happens. The next thing people tend to bring up is the creation story in Genesis. And I'm going to read that passage to you, but I'm going to substitute the word that is usually translated as man for the original Hebrew word, and see how it reads. This is Genesis 1:26 through 27. Then God said, "Let us make Adam in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea." Then God created Adam in God's own image. In the image of God, God created them. Male and female, God created them. Now, here, Adam has three meanings in the Hebrew. It can stand for humanity, humankind, a general overreaching term. It can mean male or man, and it can also be translated as the proper noun Adam, Adam, me. And after the creation of Eve, this word tends to take on a more definitively masculine connotation. But before that, it is a little more ambiguous as to what gender Adam is. A lot of scholars believe that before the creation of Eve, Adam was an androgyne, equal parts male and female. And when God puts Adam to sleep, God takes the female side from Adam and forms that into Eve. I know that that most translations say that God took a rib from Adam, but most scholars now will universally agree that rib is not the correct translation, and that it should be translated more as side. So God took the female side from Adam and created female. The website transchristians.org has a lot more to say about this, and I will put the link in the description. It's really, really interesting stuff. So as far as challenges in faith communities, I find that there's just a lack of understanding and education about the LGBTQ community in faith traditions. We're making a lot of progress with the LGBT community, but the trans community, their education and awareness is very sorely lacking in most faith communities. Now, I'm not saying that educating people is going to be the be-all, end-all solution to challenges faced by trans persons of faith, but it is definitely a step in the right direction. And I think that a fair number of people would be supportive and accepting of the trans community if they just knew more about us and understood us a bit better, and some of that misinformation that society feeds them has been dispelled. And while the trans community is by no means obligated to be educators, I am very passionate about this sort of thing, about trans advocacy within the church, and also with reconciliation work between trans persons who have been hurt by the church and faith communities who can welcome them back in. I think it's important for those in the trans community who are people of faith to have a space to worship that is safe and inclusive and affirms them and celebrates them for who they are. And my hope is that those spaces continue to develop and continue to be a voice of hope for our community. I hope this has been a helpful video. If you like what you see, subscribe, and if you do comment on the content of this video, please be respectful of everyone's beliefs. I approached this from a Christian perspective because that is the faith tradition I grew up in and the one that I know the most about. But there are trans people of different faiths, and I want to say that I fully support you in whatever faith tradition your journey leads you. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will be back next week with another video. To be determined. We shall see. Alright, bye.